What's up there, Konnekt7 Tribe? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 16, Human Connection Fears Part 2, Fear of Hurting Others. My name is Thaddeus Sims, and I am the founder, your host, and CEO of Konnekt7. And today, we're going to continue the series of human connection fears because we need to connect more, right? And there are these fears that are stopping us or blocking us, whichever one you want to go with. That's stopping us from living our best lives out here. I want to connect with you. You want to connect with me. You want to connect with everybody, but we got some fears going on, and we're going to address some of these. In this particular episode, we're going to focus on the fear of hurting others. I'm going to freeform this episode, so no structure. All right, but before we go into that, there is some announcement. So if you are new to Konnekt7, I suggest following me on Instagram, Facebook, I'm on YouTube, and any other platform that you listen to the podcast, or any podcast that you listen to. I'm pretty sure I'm on there. I discovered I'm on some stuff that I didn't even know I was on, right? Also, secondly, for those of you who are watching and you keep noticing me looking down, that is because I'm reading my notes. So I always have to let people know that my handy dandy notes are down here, so I don't get off track, because I could. Your boy can go places. Now, thirdly, if you would like, please become a patron of the podcast. The goal is to have $1,000 a month coming in, and this helps the podcast with ongoing production fees, hosting costs, hiring a video editor, a studio for the podcast, and new equipment for the studio. Now, again, if you are new to the podcast, we do fun facts here before we go into things, because facts are fun, some of them, and the other ones, they're just facts. They're not as fun. So I actually like this fun fact. It was different. I didn't know it was possible, but here we are. Okay, so fun fact. There is a sea slug that is part animal and part plant. I know my girlfriend might love this, or she probably already knows this. She's a scientific one. So the, let me see if I'm pronouncing this right. The Elysia chorotica, so ELYSIA CHLOROTICA, if y'all want to Google this, because y'all probably like, this boy don't know what he's talking about. But the Elysia chorotica, a green sea slug, is the first animal ever discovered to create chlorophyll like a plant. This makes it capable of photosynthesis, meaning it is part animal and part plant. I didn't know that could be possible. I never thought of that being a thing, but now that I'm aware that that's a fact, I don't know, it made it kind of fun for me, so hopefully it was fun for you, because that was pretty interesting. I actually kind of want to see this. I will do this after the episode. So let us get into this particular fear, right? So this is the fear of hurting others. So what does that really mean? Simply put, it's really the fear of hurting others, but it's how you do that, right? Got to make sure my water is near me so I can partake. So I can take this in so many different ways, but to keep it focused, I would say if you have this particular fear, you want to recognize what is it that you are specifically afraid of when it comes to hurting people. I know me, that my words were dangerous, like they could kill. And at the time, I liked that, it was great back then, but now I've changed, but my particular fear was either my words, and then when I would go deeper, it could be really just bringing out this mean side of me that could really just be ruthless. And I had a little fear of like, yeah, I don't want people to see that side because, they might be afraid. And some people I do want to be afraid, but at the time, yeah, it wasn't the best. So I had this particular fear. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because there are some of us who have a fear of hurting other people. Now, some people don't care, but when their feelings get hurt, they seem to care right then and there because their feelings was hurt. We're not gonna get onto that. So back to what I was saying, you want to identify this fear, right? Now I'm gonna just walk you through it so you can use some examples that I've used. So for me, I had to recognize, okay, I have this fear of either hurting people because I know my words can kill, and also I just know that I have this side of me that once it comes out, it's a wrap, it's done. And so I really had to honor that side of me and acknowledge, okay, hey, I have this. What is it in particular? Why is it that it's making me fearful? Why am I full of fear? What is it there? And so when I dissected it, what I come to understand was that it was either loved ones, people I really cared for, and I didn't want them to see this side and possibly distance themselves from me or be hurt because I didn't want to hurt them and I would feel terrible, right? Or going into it further, it was either there were really cool people and they were just so nice and they were probably just very sensitive. At the time I wasn't, and so I cared for them and I didn't want to hurt them really bad. I'm making all of these faces because back then I was just not the person that I am today. And so I really had to sit down and identify why was I afraid. And if it was that bad that I was afraid to hurt people, then that was an indicator your boy need to change. You need to do something about that, right? So before I go into, let me slow down for a little bit. You have this fear. Identify exactly what it is that you're afraid of doing, right? How is it that you're going to hurt this individual or these people, right? Look at that. Now, if this is something that's causing you fear, then as an indicator, okay, dissect this, look into this. Now you want to do something about it. And so for me, after I discovered what it was, I really had to, okay, work on it. So the words part, why is it that I know my words can kill? Because I know when it comes to working with people, you can, I look at it as you have these, what's the word I'm looking for? You have the potential to harm or to heal, right? And at the time I had the potential to harm, and that was where I was at, but now we're healing. And looking at those potentials, it was just like, okay, I have this potential to harm, and I know this is all like easy for me to do. Let me do something about it. And so what I had to do was I had to really just stop and just say, okay, is this something that I have control of? Is this something that I'm not really trying to work on? And if so, then I'm just being lazy, right? And so what I had to do specifically for myself was that I really just had to say, okay, I know that I have this power to really mess up somebody, but I also have the power to heal as well. So instead of really using this to get inside people and damage them and hurt them, why don't I use this same power to heal them? So what I'm saying is, if you have this fear of something, you could change it around. So if you have a fear of hurting people, then that means you have the potential, of course, to hurt them, but you also have the potential to heal as well. And it's just a matter of redirecting what it is that's going on with you, right? Now, some of us, it could be physically. We have like, okay, I might get mad, so I might just spaz out and fight somebody. Okay, well, work on that. Maybe it's your anger. You need to do something about that. Okay, you work on that. Now, physically, instead of hurting them, what could you do? Maybe you can help someone. Maybe you can use that anger to, okay, understand yourself, get stronger. Maybe, do some type of physical activity where you're either helping people or teaching other people how to defend themselves, right? So there's so many different avenues that are open for you when you change that potential, the potential to harm or the potential to heal, right? And then another thing was just I was, like I said, with the people who were very sensitive, and I wasn't at the time. So I was like, okay, I don't want to hurt these people, but why? Why is it that I don't want to hurt these people? Why is it making me fearful to not bring out this side? And it's because I recognize for myself is like, I don't want to, you know, unintentionally hurt them really bad because they don't deserve that. And because I have that potential in there, that means that if I have this fear, I need to do something about it. So for me, it was okay, sensitivity with these people. Well, if that's my thing with sensitive people, let me look at why am I not as sensitive? That's a thing. Why am I not as sensitive? Let me look into that. And then I had to understand that I was one of those people who ended up getting hurt, and I learned to kind of not numb the pain, but just throw it away. And it just opened a whole bunch of doors, right? And so what I'm saying is that fear, once I understood it, I dissected it, I learned what I could do with it, I decided to change the direction with it. So instead of hurting sensitive people, let me understand why that indicator of I don't want to hurt these people. Because I was once somebody who was very sensitive and I got hurt, and it was like, it was making some clicks. So I had to do the actions of, okay, I got hurt. So I'm fearing hurting them because hurt people, and I don't want them to go through what I went through. So that's what that fear is. And once I identified that, it's like, okay, then dude, you might want to tap back into that sensitivity. You might want to heal how you were hurt. And so there were steps obviously into that. And eventually we got to this point now where we don't do that. But if you get me there and I need to, then that's a whole different story. Potential, right? The potential to heal, the potential to, I ain't gonna say kill, but the potential to harm. So, we're gonna stay with the H's. And so what I'm saying with you guys, if you have a fear of hurting others, I'm gonna say dissect it. After you dissect it, now, okay, how do you want to change that? Heal or harm, heal or harm. And then you'll discover that there's things that it reveals about yourself, right? And once you discover that, then now you have the power to change all of that. And I want you guys to know this is a mini episode, because I want to just focus particularly on that fear of hurting others. Now, I'm gonna do my best to kind of go outside of myself here and my experiences and really just kind of tag along into other people I've been around. But I know one particular friend, he's fearful of hurting other people's feelings because he's very, how can I put it? He's very different, like very different. So when people suggest something to him, he's just like, yeah, no, that doesn't work for me. And so if he does it, what he wants to do, other people may feel some type of way and he fears hurting their feelings, right? And so it's just like, okay, you got to identify like, okay, why is it that you're afraid to do what you want to do, going against what they want to do? And so he's in that process where he's kind of discovering that as well. And that was just one of his fears. Like, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, so I'm probably just not going to say it. I'm probably just going to, do what they say. But he learned that just wasn't the best for him. And so now he's working on that. And another person I know who has this fear of hurting others she has a mouth too. Yeah, she has a mouth too. That's why she's my friend. She has a mouth on her too. But she's working on that because she knows she can get real rude and disrespectful. And so she's working on that. I would say now that she's in this part of her, in this area of her life where she's changing and growing and she's having to work with people, it's kind of becoming a little bit of a fear to not bring that side out, because she's trying not to go back and revert back to her old ways. And so right now she's identifying, okay, I don't want to go back there because the only reason I was like that was because people got rude with me and I wanted to be a better example. So she identified what it was, and she's using that potential. Okay, instead of hurting people, in her particular case with her words, she's now using more art with her words and her feelings, like she's doing different things to channel that potential, again, to either harm someone or heal. So she's using art in a sense to heal others, or to communicate either the pain or emotions or whatever it is that she's feeling into artwork that's, not destroying someone. So basically the hint here, guys, is that you have the potential with this particular fear to identify it and change the course to heal or harm. Now, I'm gonna leave it there because this was just part 2 and we're gonna go to the next one soon. But I was thinking, should I do a gut check with you guys? And when it comes to this particular fear, I don't think there's a gut check that's necessary. I know for some people who love the gut check, y'all probably like, oh man, that's a downer. But when it comes to this, I don't think I'm gonna give you a gut check, because this is something that I would say you have to really just sit down with yourself and really identify what this particular fear of yours is and how you can change it for the good. So that is it, guys, for this particular episode. Now we're gonna go to the advice column. So for some of y'all who might get mad, just know I did say in the first one, I believe I said it in the first one, that these are going to be mini like episodes. Okay. The first one was like 44 minutes. So you know what I mean? I gave y'all something, you know what I mean? It was great, but I told y'all it's going to be mini, and this happens to be the one that's mini. Okay. So we're going to go to the advice column. By the way, if you're new to this and you're probably like, well, I'm new to this, so I ain't know this. Welcome. Now you know. Okay. So, all right, we're going to go to the advice column. So if you are new, again, the advice column is basically you would message me on IG or Facebook for advice on how to connect better with yourself or those around you. And I will pick 2 and answer them in the next episode. Now, I have 2 here, and one is from a guy named Tommy. And Tommy said, I heard your last episode on fear of rejection. Could you elaborate on the action steps you took to conquer the fear? Okay, Tommy. Let me actually give you a live example. Not a live example, but you know what I mean. Let me think of a particular one. So when it came to a fear of rejection, I would say one of my rejections was no. I didn't like to hear no from other people. So if I kind of suggested something and you said no, that hurt. You know what I mean? Like, that really hurt. I just felt like you rejected me as a being, not what I said. You rejected me as a being. So basically I done said, hey, do you want I can't believe I'm gonna do this, but hey, would you like me to help you out with what you got going on? No, that's okay. Oh my gosh. In translation, what that means is like, no, I don't want your help because you don't cut it. Like, what you're doing is just not gonna help me at all. So please, I rebuke you. Thank you, but no thank you. Like, the help that I need is level 10 and what you're offering me is -2. So get out of my face, right? That's how I took it, right? And some of y'all are like, damn, that is dramatic. I know, but that's how I was back then. I was like, hey man, I feel like you rejected my whole being. And that was my fear. So when I would suggest things to people and I had that rejection, like, oh, okay, they're gonna say no. If they say no, I'm gonna try to do my best not to break inside. So the action steps that I took, actually, I have to give this credit to my old mentor at the time, and he talked about the fear of rejection. And he used a very great example, and it actually really worked out for me because I was in the serving business. He was saying, imagine that you're a server and you offered people, let's just say they ordered a hamburger and fries, and you offered them ketchup, like, hey, would you like ketchup with your fries? And they said no. He said, are you gonna be hurt that they said no, or are you gonna in my particular case, are you going to break down because they said no, they don't want the ketchup? And I was like, oh no, like you don't want the ketchup, then you don't want the ketchup. Keep it moving. And it was just like, oh, he was like, so what's the difference? Like if you offer something to someone, they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to whatever it is that you may have offered or suggested to them. So it's not saying you as a being, so why take it seriously? So it was just like, okay. He also went deeper as well when he was using that ketchup example. I probably have a little mixed up, but also one of the things that helped, I would say, with the self-esteem part with the rejection was that, if the person says no, then it's like that's their loss. Having that value for yourself and self-esteem, it was like, well, that's their loss if they say no. So the action steps that I took was, first I had to keep replaying that, and I had to take that example of people saying no to the ketchup and applying that to every little thing. So if I asked someone, hey, did you want help with something? And they said no, it was just like, oh, okay. And I would get used to that. And when they said no, I would remember the ketchup example. I would tell myself, okay, ketchup, they're saying no to ketchup. They're not saying no to me as a being. They're just saying no to that ketchup. Okay. If they say, I'm offering them help, then it's like, oh, well, that's their loss, or they'll figure it out. And so eventually over time, as I kept that example up, the ketchup part was good. And then it trickled down more to the self-esteem or value for myself, where it was just, oh, well, that's their loss. And so people would say, I would offer them, oh, you need help with that? And they'll say, oh, no, I got it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's on you. And after a while, repetition, that's what I would say. Those were the action steps. It was the repetition of repeating those things in my head, repeating that example when it came to me offering or asking people a question or sharing an idea. It's just either they say no, okay, well, that's your loss. And so I would tell you, Tommy, is use that example, the ketchup. That's what I did. And I just kept repeating that to myself every time someone said no. And I would just ask people different questions, whatever it is, or offer different things. And eventually it was just like, oh, well, they said no. I'm like, oh, that sucks for them, because I know what I have to offer. I know the energy that I bring to things, right? At that time, I wasn't where I'm at now. But when I was there, that definitely helped me. And it was just that repetition and that reminder to self every time someone said no. So back then, you said no, that triggered ketchup example. Then you said no, that triggered, oh, so that's your loss in my head. I didn't say that out loud to one or two people because they were being slick, but that's what I did. And that was particularly my action step that I took. So yeah, Tommy, I hope that helps. And the next one, I really am sorry if I don't say this right, but I'm gonna go with knife. I'm from America. I'm sorry. I know we butcher some things, some of us, but I don't speak for all Americans. Don't mind me. But I'm going to go with knife. So knife said, would you say fear is important in some cases? This might sound like a whole contradiction, knife, but I would say yes. And I say that because scientifically speaking, I would say fear helps us to survive, right? If the fight, there's the episode with the therapist, it's fight, flight, and there was another one, and there was a third part in there, I gotta remember that. But basically those responses, like if we hear something and it makes us jump or we run, it's for our survival. So I would say if we didn't have that fear, then I think a lot of us would probably be dead, right? I say that because imagine, for example, if you are at the edge of a cliff. So some of us have this fear of like, oh, I don't want to go. No, that's to the edge. I'm gonna fall. So that fear is like, survival kicking in. Like, I could die, so I'm not. Then you have some of the weirdos like me who looks over a cliff and wants to go over. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I need to go jump out of a plane. Bungee jumping and skydiving. But there's those examples. Or, for example, you have some people who, when it comes to either like pricking themselves or doing something that's going to cause a little pain to the body. It's this something in there like, no, I don't want to do this, because it's like your body's saying no, you're damaging, like, no. So I would say yes, in those particular cases for survival, I would say it is important. As far as these other things with like social wise, society wise, I would say that's where you have to learn to override that and understand that some of that is just really just not, it's not serving you, and it's not going to help you get anywhere. But in those particular cases of survival, I definitely would say so. But with that being said, guys, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are amazing. I look forward to part 3. This is going to be very interesting. So thank you guys for pressing play. And you guys are the best. Enjoy the rest of your day, morning, night, twilight, and all in between. And hello from me to you. See you later from me to you, wherever you are in the world. All right, guys. Later.